What's up, fake book? Damn. I think I need to bring this camera up. What's up? All right. Okay. So I got my little chart here. Got my cap rate. Got my NOI. Went over some things yesterday with the due diligence. So for those of you that are in the R2R apartment mastermind group, you saw the video. You understand the deferred maintenance. Some of the things that we're covering in that group is pretty, basic to us, but I don't think a lot of people think of it. So what we have there is an apartment complex, 27 units. Just need to write that over here. 27 units. There's more one bedrooms out of that 27 than there are two bedrooms. I think the one bedrooms rent, one bed rent for, I underwrote this deal conservatively at $450 a month average to get to a $72K NOI. I think that's a good conservative estimate to kind of blanket across it. But I think the one bedrooms will probably do 500. I think the two bedrooms should be able to do 600. But if you had to shift that down to 550 and 450, then you would be there. So, but anyways, there's a mixture of one bedrooms and two bedrooms, and I've got it wrote down somewhere. But I knew we weren't going to buy that deal. It's too close to Austin. Somebody from Austin, a cash buyer, is going to come out there and fall in love with it and probably bid on it. I thought when we got there, we started talking to the tenants, and they were like, "Bro, this thing's already been been auctioned a couple of times. Nobody's buying it." And the reason why was it kind of had a funky layout. Didn't have a lot of parking space from what I saw. Parking lots were in good condition, had a couple of holes that would need to be fixed, but parking lots is something that I'm paying heavy attention to now. Used to not care that much about it, but once you figure out what they cost and how much they improve the profile of the place, you'll really pay attention to them. So didn't seem like it had a lot of parking space for 27 units at all. But, it's one of those things that was in decent enough condition. Some of the parking was on one street. Some of the parking was on another street. And you'd have to walk a pretty good distance to get to your unit. You couldn't just basically pull up to it. So if you had groceries or something like that, it's a journey. Those are things that I think about and consider whenever I'm buying something, because I know how much I would hate that if I live there. And I know that the people that are thinking about living there probably think about that too. So as we walked it, there was all this. So like, let's say you had a building here, okay, with 4 units in it, building here with 4 units in it, a building here with 4 units in it. In between, there's water leaking and running down this way, water leaking and running down this way. It was all running down here. And then there was another water leak here and another water leak here. And it's water. It's not the sewer. I thought, I've stuck my hand in some sewer before thinking it was water. But it was definitely water. Talked to the tenants. They said that they've tried to repair it and they can't. So you can bet every water line on this place is going to have to be replaced. When you're underwriting a deal like this, you would want to know exactly what that's going to cost you. You want to get a local plumber, get them to go out there and look at and see what it's going to cost you. And then from there, make your evaluation. I don't actually have those numbers, so I'm going to underwrite worst case scenario. Roofs are serviceable, but will have to be replaced because you probably can't get an insurance policy on them. AC units are at the very end of life. Some of them aren't working anymore. And 4 units had a water line bust inside of them and were basically sheetrock cut to the bottom. So those are full make readies. The rest of them seem to be occupied. So the demand is there. Only issue I saw there, these are USDA tenants. This is a USDA loan on the property. When it goes through auction, do you get to keep those tenants? Will those tenants be able to stay with their stipend? The government's paying most of the rent. This isn't Section 8. This is USDA. It's a different program. I don't know enough about that. So if I was going to go out and buy these, I would definitely go down to the USDA office, say, hey, we're going to buy these. Are y'all still going to pay these people's rent? That's a huge deal because if they don't, some of those people are only paying $100 a month towards their own rent. if they can't stay, if they can't pay, they can't stay, and you're going to have a 100% vacant apartment complex after you spend a bunch of money on evictions. That could be a deal killer in and of itself. If this thing would service its debt from the beginning, while you make the repairs, while you make the necessary adjustments, while you replace AC units, while you make the 4 units that are vacant ready, all that kind of stuff, it's huge because it takes a big burden off you. But if it won't, you got to have the cash flow from somewhere else to cover it, either that from a job or another part of your portfolio, and your startup costs are going to be huge. And then if the property has a stigma, if they know that there's been bad things going on down there, if they know the landlord was bad whenever he was, you got to overcome that stigma to get the new tenants in. So that can be something that is tremendously detrimental. This seemed like a nice, clean place with a lot of elderly people living there with a stipend, with a government check. And if you could hang on to that, that would be nice. Now, eventually, the thing about that is they're going to be capped on what they're going to pay for rent. And that is most likely mismanagement is why this thing's going to auction, because they didn't set back enough for reserves to be able to make the repairs as they came, up. They couldn't replace all the water lines, couldn't replace all the ACs. They were eating, traveling, living their best life off that cash flow. And then whenever it came time to pay the piper on deferred maintenance, they couldn't do it. And now they're going through foreclosure. So, that's one thing, one dynamic. The other one is that these units, when it's USDA or whether it's any government program like that, they mandate what the rent can be. So you might not be able to raise rent enough to keep up with the deferred maintenance if it just all comes at once. Now, you should understand that you've got a 10-year lifespan on ACs. You should plan for this stuff moving forward. As we take down units now, we're putting new ACs in, regardless if they're going bad. I covered that yesterday in the video whenever I was walking a place. So if you're not in there, you can go check out why. We're covering all that at the front side. We're leaving some other things behind because we know that when we go for the last loan, they're going to want to see some of that capital that you pull out go back into the property. So we leave them some low-hanging fruit to find. And again, that video is in the R2R Mastermind group. If you want to know more about that, jump in there and look at it. So here's what I've got, though. I've got a chart. And I'm going to underwrite this deal with all these different NOIs. When you've got, let's see, I didn't write it up here, but $450 a month, okay, is what I'm underwriting these at. I'm underwriting these at $550 a month. Oh, you probably can't see that. But if you've got 2 beds and let's just say there's equal units, and we're going to have $500 a month average, okay? There's more 1-bedrooms here than there's 2 bedrooms, so that's actually kind of whatever, but I think the rent will be a little bit higher. And 1-bedrooms surprisingly have a lot of demand. Every community we're in, we have a high demand for 1-bedrooms because there's no 1-bedroom houses. So if you've got apartments and you've got 1-bedroom apartments, you've got, and your tenants in a 1-bedroom apartment are always going to be probably elderly, living on a fixed income. So you got a really good tenant base. So, 1-bedroom, $450. We're going to call it $500. There's 27 units, so I'm going to do times 27. Okay. Now that's $13,500 a month and 100% occupied. Vacancy loss, repairs, maintenance, cash put back for reserves. In this smaller rent number, here's the mistake that we made early on, and I think a bunch of people make early on. They compare themselves to people who are getting $800 to $1,200 a month rent. And they see that 40% expense, and it includes property management and all this other stuff. And they're like, oh, okay, well, my expenses are going to be 40% too, but that's not the case. The hot water heater in that $800 a month unit costs the same as the hot water heater in this $450 a month unit. The labor costs the same. Everything costs the same, but you're collecting less rent. So you're going to have a much higher percentage of expenses. So I'm going to take this and this $13,500, I'm going to put it at a 50% expense ratio. So I'm going to take that $13,500, multiply it by 0.5, and get $6,750. With the $6,750, do times 12, I got $81,000. Okay. As you can see, I don't have $81,000 up here. Why? Because I want to be conservative in my approach. Okay. So I'm underwriting the deal conservatively on rent. I'm underwriting the deal conservatively on NOI. Why? I don't know what the expenses actually are. I want to make sure that when I underwrite this deal, that no matter how this thing plays out, no matter how it plays out, I'm going to be able to get the end loan that I want. So I'm going to see how much money I can put into this property. Remember, I've got plumbing issues. I've got roofs. I've got air conditioners. I've got 4 units to make ready. And I don't know if I'm going to be able to keep the tenants that are there. I've got real research to do. Now, you would obviously do more than 1 day worth of research. I only went down there yesterday because I wanted to see what the inventory looked like. I'm going to a completely different auction today, March 6th, Tuesday, 2020. Going there. I'm going there to network. I'm going there to meet the people that are going to buy these other units, because those other units, there's 48 units in that town going to auction, and they are trash. They got broken slabs. They're fucking garbage. And I want to see who buys them, because if they'll buy that, I will have something to sell them. So I'm going there to network, essentially. I'm not going there to buy. I'm not going there to do any of that. I'm going there to network. I'm about to underwrite this deal. So $60,000 a year. If I take $60,000 a year, $60,000, and I want to figure out what it's going to be worth at a 12 cap, I divide it by 0.12. Okay, and it's worth $500K. Okay, we're gonna have to do some more math on this, but at a 10 cap, it's worth $600K. I'm good at that math. And at a 9 cap, which, you know, I mean, our mobile home park here in Groesbeck went at a 9 cap, so it's not unreasonable to think that apartments would go at a 9 cap as well. Okay, it's just kind of where the market's at right now. Don't ask me why, but if I do 60,000 divided by 0.09, as you can see, it's the devil. So 666K. Remember, where we think it's going to be is 81, but we're underwriting it. We're underwriting it strict as fuck. We want to know where we're going to come in at all these different levels, right? We want to know what we're going to be able to spend on the property. The opening bid on this is $326K. That's what the opening bid is. If you got it for the opening bid, how much money can you invest into it and still get a loan on it and get most of your capital back out, or hopefully all of it? That's what we're trying to figure out. So 70,000 divided by 0.12, 583,000. Okay. Pretty simple. It's going to be 700K here. And $777K right here. All right. Now we've got 75K, 75 divided by 0.12, 625. Sorry about the handwriting. 750. And then 833. Okay. Now, why is this important? If I'm going to go worst case scenario and my expenses are going to outrun me, my property manager, I'm going to have a high vacancy rate. Vacancies are your most expensive expense. If you have vacancies, they're expensive. If I'm going to underwrite it really tough, I'm at 500,000. That leaves me $174,000. I think that's right, to put into it. Can I do the plumbing issues? Can I do the roofs? Can I fix a little bit of parking lot and replace the air conditioners for that? I've got an answer, but I'm not going to give it on this video. I'm going to save that for the R2R mastermind people. Strictly only let them have that information. But as I come over, if I can get it to a 9 cap, which I really do believe that this is most likely going to come in at a 9 cap property. You can see 666, which gives me, a hair over 300,000. Now, what we're trying to do is get to 80%. So if I take that 666 and times 0.8, I can spend, basically 532 on it, which is still better than a 12 cap property. But I can spend 532 on it and still get all my money back out of it. I can burr into these. Okay. I could do a whole video on debt service coverage ratio and everything else and show y'all what it is, but I'm going to save all that. I'm going to do that inside the mastermind group because it's a really long video and I don't have time right now because I got to get to another auction. But basically when you're underwriting this, you want to figure out where you can leverage safely and then what your cash flow is going to be after that. Underwriting it very strictly, I think I can still get the deal done. I think I can still, depending on what the plumbing costs, I think I can still get the deal done. If I do get it at these higher levels, it gets much better. So let's look at it at 700K. 700K times 0.8. I can then leverage 560 against it. Now I'm getting some really good money back into the property. I think I can almost cover all my expenses then. And if I'm down here at 750K, 750 times 0.8, I can now put 600,000 into the property, and I might have an immaculate property by the time I spend 600,000 on this thing if I get it for minimum bid. What I think is going to end up happening, I really don't know, because a cash investor is a little bit different, especially with the stock market like it is right now. They can come in and buy this thing, put all their money into it, and get a 6% return on their cash and feel good about it because it's parked in a hard asset. They can then pull their money back out, leverage it, take that money, put it back in the stock market whenever they feel like they need to get back in. There's a lot of things they can do with real property that they can't do in the stock market. And like I said, this thing's really close to Austin, so it's hard for me to imagine that it can't sell. I will be following up to see what does happen, but looking at it like this and knowing that we can probably get it to $81,000, which I didn't do the math on that, but it's significantly more. The challenge then becomes, what debt will you have access to? What will your debt service coverage ratio be? And what will the actual cash flow be? I think some people think 27 units is going to pay them like 10 grand a month. And once you put it into your calculator and get your debt service coverage ratio, put money back for reserves, pay your property management fee, and then do any CapEx expenditures at all, which we hope to get out of the way on the front side so we don't have to do that for 10 years. But if you do, that cash flow goes quick. So this is me bringing down a deal. I'm going to be at an auction today. If you're in the mastermind group, I don't know what happened. I froze up. If you're in the mastermind group, I'll put the address in there. I hope to see y'all there. It starts at 10 o'clock at 7:43. I'm going to go home, shower, get ready, and I'll see y'all there. Appreciate your time.